Karoline Leavitt books a room at her husband's hotel. Liberal receptionist makes a huge mistake. Karoline Leavitt wasn't your typical political figure. With a sharp mind and a no-nonsense attitude, she had made a name for herself in the political world. A force to be reckoned with, her influence stretched far beyond the office. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind, especially when it came to defending the values she held dear. But for all her public success, Karoline had a private side too. One that wanted nothing more than a peaceful getaway with her husband, a break from the spotlight. Her husband, a successful businessman, had built an empire. One of his prized investments was a luxurious hotel, a property that catered to the rich and powerful. It had been his dream, and Karoline was proud of him for all he had accomplished. When the couple decided to take a short vacation, Karoline knew exactly where she wanted to stay, her husband's hotel. After all, it was their hotel, a place where she felt safe, comfortable, and most importantly, welcomed. Karoline picked up her phone and effortlessly booked a room. The process seemed smooth, almost too easy, and she felt a wave of relief wash over her. Little did she know, the nightmare waiting at the front desk would shatter her peaceful retreat before it even began. Karoline arrived at the hotel that afternoon, feeling a sense of calm she hadn't felt in weeks. The hotel's luxurious lobby greeted her with its gleaming marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and the soft hum of quiet conversations. It was supposed to be a refuge, a place to escape the constant buzz of the media and the pressures of her political life. She walked up to the front desk, where a young receptionist was busy typing away, seemingly unaware of the VIP guest about to walk up to her. "Good afternoon," Karoline said with a warm smile, her voice light, hoping to put any tension from the outside world behind her. "I have a reservation under Leavitt." She handed over her ID, expecting the usual swift check-in. The receptionist barely looked up, eyes scanning the screen in front of her, before pausing. There was a flicker of something, disinterest, maybe even disdain, in the way the young woman's gaze lingered on Karoline's name. "I'm sorry, but we can't accommodate your request," the receptionist said, her tone flat, almost mechanical. Karoline blinked, certain she hadn't heard that right. "What do you mean? I've got a reservation. This is my husband's hotel. I'm his wife." The receptionist raised an eyebrow, almost in disbelief. "I understand, but our system shows no room available for you." Karoline's stomach dropped. How could this be? She'd booked a room just hours earlier. Everything should have been fine. "This is my husband's hotel and I'm his wife. Why are you denying me a room?" The receptionist didn't flinch. Instead, she simply repeated, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's nothing I can do." Karoline stood there stunned. The words hung in the air, as if they were some cruel joke. She hadn't expected this. She glanced around the lobby, hoping to see someone who could clear this up, someone who could explain this madness. But instead, the receptionist just stared back at her, an air of indifference about her. Karoline's pulse quickened. This couldn't be happening. "Is there a problem?" Karoline asked, trying to keep her voice steady. She forced a smile, though it barely touched her lips. The receptionist didn't budge. "As I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but there are no rooms available." Karoline leaned in, trying to maintain her composure. "Look, I'm not asking for a special treatment. I've got a reservation. I'm just asking why this is happening." The receptionist paused for a moment, her fingers tapping on the counter, clearly weighing something. Then, with an almost smug expression, she spoke. "You know, we don't serve people like you here." The words hit Karoline like a slap in the face. She blinked, her heart racing. "Excuse me." The receptionist, with a slight sneer, leaned forward. "People with your views. We prefer to keep the atmosphere a little more, well, inclusive." Karoline's mind spun. Was this really happening? Was she being denied service because of her political beliefs? Because of who she was? She hadn't expected this kind of treatment from a place that she considered her home away from home. "I want to speak to your manager," Karoline said, her voice now firm and resolute. Just as Karoline was about to lose her patience, the hotel door swung open and a senior staff member walked in, his eyes immediately locking on her. He was older, with the air of someone who knew the inner workings of the hotel, a man who commanded respect. When he saw Karoline standing at the front desk, the confusion in her eyes, the tension hanging in the air, His expression shifted from casual to concerned in an instant. "Mrs. Leavitt," the man exclaimed, rushing forward, his voice full of surprise and relief. "We've been expecting you. I'm so sorry for the delay. Let me take care of everything." The receptionist's face went white as a ghost. Her smug demeanor vanished in a flash, replaced by a look of utter panic. She stammered as she tried to explain herself, but the senior staff member wasn't having it. "What's going on here?" he asked, turning sharply toward the receptionist. There's been a misunderstanding," the receptionist said, her voice faltering. I didn't realize who she was." The staff member's eyes widened and his voice grew stern. "You didn't realize? Do you have any idea who you just denied?" The receptionist stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing as if searching for the right words. Karoline, who had remained silent throughout this exchange, finally spoke up, her voice calm yet filled with steel. "I believe we have a bigger problem here than just a misunderstanding." The senior staff member quickly turned to Karoline, offering a deep, apologetic bow. "Mrs. Leavitt, I can't express how sorry we are for this. Please allow me to make it right." But Karoline wasn't interested in apologies. Her composure remained intact, but her patience had worn thin. She looked directly at the receptionist, who was still standing there, shaking like a leaf. "I don't care about an apology," Karoline said, her voice steady but firm. "What I care about is understanding. How is it that someone like me, someone who is literally married to the owner of this hotel, gets treated like this?" The receptionist's cheeks flushed red with shame, her eyes dropping to the floor. But the manager wasn't done. He spun on his heel and pointed sharply toward the receptionist. "You need to explain yourself. Do you understand the gravity of what's just happened here?" The receptionist stammered, trying to form a coherent sentence, but it was clear she was in way over her head. She tried to justify her actions by blaming the system, but no one was buying it. The senior staff member turned back to Karoline, his tone becoming more serious. "We'll be reviewing your treatment here and conducting an immediate investigation. This will not stand. No one should ever be treated like this." Karoline nodded once, her face unreadable. She wasn't interested in taking this any further, but the message was clear. This wasn't just about one mistake. It was about holding people accountable for their actions. The fallout from the incident wasn't just a PR disaster, it was a turning point. Karoline's husband, who had always prided himself on his impeccable service, took swift action. The hotel implemented new, rigorous customer service training to ensure nothing like this ever happened again. The receptionist? Well, she learned the hard way that assumptions based on bias come with consequences. But Karoline's calm, poised response to it all left a lasting impression. One mistake, she thought, one moment of prejudice, and it almost cost her everything. The lesson was clear. Never judge someone by what you think you know.